Hello my darlings! Like I said last video, for book reviews, we don't need no stinking list. So like I said last video, I would like to get back into book reviewing, but we're not really going to be going off the Florida Teen Reads list anymore. Just the book I was reading at the time and anything else on the list wasn't really holding my interest. And I realized, like I said, this is my channel, I can review whatever I want. So I'm going back and both rereading books from that I read earlier in the summer, and I'm going to review those. And I am also rereading John Green's books because of his new book coming out in October, which I am so stoked about. Literally, I went into work, like the next shift I had at work, I was like, guys, John Green has a new book, I'm so excited, it comes out in October, and my one coworker's like, what are you doing? And then my other coworker, who is an author, his name's Elkin Williams, go read his stuff. He has this book called Fried Windows with a Light White Sauce. Go read his stuff. So when that book comes out in February, and I will probably buy that and read that, because I gotta support my coworkers. Gotta do what you gotta do. So today we are going to start with a John Green novel, that being his ever popular The Fault in Our Stars, and I can hear the groans right now. I remember for my directing class, I did a play that kind of has a similar plot to like a John Green novel, and my friend Kelsey asked me after hearing the plot, she was like, "You're a John Green fan, aren't you?" And I'm like, maybe? But The Fault in Our Stars was the first one I ever read by him. A girl I was friends with in high school when she was a freshman and I was a sophomore let me borrow her copy. It's because of her I'm a nerd fighter. And I just remember reading this book, and like with a lot of John's books, it took me a couple of readings to appreciate it. But I was always intrigued. For those of you who don't know, and if you don't, have you been living under a rock? How do you not know the plot to this story? It's about two cancer kids, Hazel Grace Lancaster and Augustus Waters. He has been in remission for a long time. She basically has her death written upon diagnosis. And it's the story of how they fall in love. And I just remember reading this story for the first time and thinking that it was very sad. And it is very sad, but there's also a lot of hope in it. So this is probably my fourth or fifth time rereading this, and I'm a big rereader. Books to me are like old friends. You can always come back to them and you always tell the same stories. But there were just things that stood out to me in them that, like, I definitely remember when I first read them not truly appreciating. Like when Hazel kind of rails against the encouragements with a capital E, which was hilarious, that Augustus's parents have in their house, and the idea that she says that the taste of chocolate is not influenced by the existence of broccoli, just that idea of her railing against without suffering, we couldn't know joy. Whether or not I necessarily agree with that isn't the point, but I like the fact that, you know, John Green felt the need to really bring that up and be like, but could we know joy without suffering? And that the answer Hazel comes to is yes. That we can still have joy without having ever suffered. One of the things I really appreciate about this is how cancer kids are shown as people. Like, and how they rail against like the common tropes of sick literature and, you know, movies and books about sick people. One of the big things I really like about this book is how it definitely points out the fallacy of thinking that people who are sick, whether it be like with cancer or some other kind of chronic illness, somehow become angels that come down to earth to teach us to be grateful for every day we are alive and healthy, and how silly it is to think that people who are sick are still people. My Aunt Angie was one of those people. She didn't really complain, but like Hazel, she was diagnosed stage before she had breast cancer. Her end was written upon diagnosis. And, you know, she was one of the good ones. Like, she didn't complain a lot, but she definitely had her rough days where she couldn't do anything. And I like that they pointed out that reality. I have friends who have chronic illnesses, and, you know, they're not always happy and smiling and cheerful. No, they're honest. They're like, no, there are days this sucks and I hate it and I don't want to live like this. And I appreciate the honesty of that. Sure, do we want to believe that everything could be happy and hunky-dory even when you're sick, and that, you know, people like that touch our lives? Of course they do, but one of the other themes they explore in this book that I really enjoy is the idea of how you don't have to leave your mark upon the earth. Me, I'm very much like Augustus. I feel like I have to leave this great big mark upon the earth and be remembered by many people. And I like that John Green points out that you can be loved deeply but not widely, and that life is just as important. I'm so used to being surrounded by theater people who we feel like we have to leave these big marks, but like John says in the book, the marks we leave are too often scars. And I think a lot about the people in my life who aren't like that, who, like Hazel, are incredible in the fact that they're quiet and don't feel the need to live these huge lives to feel like they've done something important. I find that so incredibly admirable. And it doesn't make sense to me in a way, but the older I get, the more I realize it doesn't have to. That those people in my life are so good and so wonderful in their own quiet, incredible way, and I wish I could be like that. There are also some pretty great speeches that Hazel has in this book that I'm just like her whole first speech to Augustus about, you know, you're attractive and you're charming and you're smart, but then you buy cigarettes, you give money to a company, even though you've had cancer, to acquire yet more cancer. What is wrong with you? I almost used that monologue in an audition once, but I was like, this movie's still so popular that I just feel like I'd make an idiot of myself. But it's such a great, it's just such a funny monologue. Or her big monologue to Gus towards the end of the book, and those of you who have read it will know, or seen the movie will know what I'm talking about. Even the first time I read it, I cried because I was just like, that's so beautiful. So now I'd like to hear what you think. If you've read the book, what's your opinion on it? If you haven't, I really do encourage you to read it. It's very sweet and funny and smart and heartbreaking, and I just think that this is one of those books that you just kind of have to really read to understand. Don't believe what everyone else tells you. For my next review, I am currently in the middle of rereading a book I read earlier in the summer, Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. If you are looking for a book with a main character who's a woman of color, the main character of this one is a Chinese-American girl named Jordan Sun. This book is basically Pitch Perfect meets She's the Man, and it's hilarious. I love it so much. I read it at the beginning of the summer. It came out May 12th, and I think I read it like the week after it came out, and I was like, oh my god, this book is so funny. This is another book that's just really just clever, and it takes its setup and just runs with it. And it's so good, guys. And no matter what you do, I hope y'all click like and subscribe, and I'll see you later, my darlings. Have a nice night.